Hi, I'm Barbara Henderson, and we are finally ready to finish this painting. So we've done all the background to get our perspective in, and now this was our model. What we're going to look at today is getting in the trees, working on the fence, and we're probably going to add a few more trees over here. So if you're ready to get started, I sure am. And I wanted to tell you, new brushes. That's so exciting. They came from my online supplier, and if you go to my website, I'll tell you a good place to get them. Now, we're ready. First thing we're going to do is put in big trees and some little trees. And I've kind of penciled them in here, and the thing is, the big one's about 3/4 at the bottom, half at the top. These two a little smaller, and then these two we're going to put over here quite a bit smaller because they're further away. Actually, I think we'll put a little highlights on these background trees first. Okay, and I'm using a sable flat brush for this. And you want something similar to this and a little of that. So we're just going to put just a few highlights in there. So just a little bit of your yellow. On this, a lot of times I just use my brush for mixing. They say don't do it, but I do it anyway. Just do a little of your, because you're going to be throwing this this sheet away anyway when you finish the canvas, so it's not nearly as important that you keep it all clean and pristine. Let's put a little ochre in here as well. Okay, now that's kind of dark, but we're going to do our first little highlights back here just a little bit darker. Remember, our light's coming from this direction. So we just put just a little bit on the trees there, and these are the evergreen trees, so they do have kind of a darker, but I don't know how to explain it, somewhat louder green. And you just kind of stay to the side where the light would be coming from. Go on across and just sort of, you know, irregular. You don't want anything there. Flatten your brush out occasionally. Just a little bit of lights in there. On the, you know, the side the light's coming from. You just get smaller and smaller as you go out into here. And then a little, you know, on this side here. Just coming in there. And you can take as long or do that as fast as you want to. It does add to the picture if you just kind of take your time, do a little more detail. I think we'll get just a little bit yellow for just a little bit brighter. We kind of want something in there. And then there could be a little different color brush down in here, so I can do a little bit there across. You know, just however you feel like it. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is put in the trees. Now the trees are a whole different color. They're going to be light at the bottom, like a birch tree or a alder, something like that. Just a little white. We want it fairly white. Tiny bit of brown. Something like that. And then you want to be sure your trees, let's just try that out. Might be a little bit light. Get just a tad more of our brown in that. Because we'll do some highlights on it too. Okay, start with the one furthest out. You need a good amount of paint on your brush for that, so it looks like I may not have mixed up enough. But you want to keep in mind you don't want a really straight edge, so don't worry about that. You know, I've said before, I think if I could draw a straight line, I would have been an architect. So this is something I could do. Get our trunks in there. this one we got about right here. Let's just kind of give us an idea. I think though we're going to get darker as we're not going to go all the way up with the light color, because the trees, they'll be more in shadow the higher up you get, because the leaves and the white is just not going to stand out like that. So here we are in these trees, and then let's go ahead and do these other trees here while I've got a little bit of light. So I'm just going to cross over so you can still see what I'm doing here. Now these two, I thought we would just kind of have them almost grown together, but not quite. About the same shade is fine. I think we're going to go just a tad lighter. Remember, don't worry about having perfectly straight. What you want to mainly think is that they don't get too wide, and that you keep them sort of, you know, a little bigger at the bottom, but not that much difference really. Okay. That's a pretty skinny one there. It's almost just a brush, isn't it? And then we'll change and you see where we're kind of getting into that wet paint back there, but with your soft brush, it's a little easier to do something like this. Go just a little bit higher with that. Okay, now I'm going to cross back over, and we're going to get these straightened in just a little bit better, or more solidly, I guess. This is really the fun part of the painting, because you've done all your preliminary work, you've got it a good background there, and you're turning it into a painting now that can hang on your wall. Of course, if you're totally minimalist, I guess it could go on at any time. And the thing about this kind of painting, you cannot get this look really with the quicker methods. This is wet on dry, and it's just a preference. I mean, there's no like, oh, that's, use a big brush and work wet on wet. That's fine if that's what you like to do, but there's not a right or wrong to it. It's really just personal preference. This is the one I like, which is really just impressionist, but not totally impressionist. Okay, now I think we're going to mix a little bit darker to finish the tops of our trees up there, and that's just get you a good glob of brown, mix it in, some of your white, because then we've got quite a bit to do here with that color, so if you can see that or not. It's a pretty good difference there. This is mainly going to be in the shadow of the leaves and things, so like we said, the white would not be going to stick out the way that it did. Now normally you want, a tree needs to go all the way to the top, but you could probably want to see the bottom. Then when you get a smaller tree like this, it can just go up part way, but your front trees are probably, the big trees are going to go all the way to the top of your canvas. Take her as long as you want to, or do it as fast as you want to with this. And a solid, pretty solid in there is good, but it doesn't have to be